Okay, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 113, direct variation and inverse variation. And for some reason, I'm just in the mood to have a black background with the white because it looks more like chalk and it's more fun. Alright, so first thing we're going to talk about is what is called direct variation. Direct variation means multiply. Inverse variation means divide. Okay, so those are the two key things that you're going to have to remember. So we're going to do direct variation first. Again, the multiply. Multiply is always easy. And for the most part, we have a formula. And it depends on the book on how they write the formula, but the way it normally writes is a letter equals k times another letter. That is direct variation. Inverse variation would be a letter equals a k over another letter. So remember I said direct variation is multiply, inverse variation is divide. So we have the same three letters there, but in the inverse the b is on the bottom. K is a constant. Okay, so what we're doing first of all is we're given information in a story problem to help us solve K. We're also given enough information that once we know K, we can find A or B. And it's the same way with here, only it's just division. So it should be a pretty quick and easy way to get through this. So let me just write my formula here. A equals KB. Okay. So let's look at example 113.1 on page 475. And we are going to use the different letters that they give us for the problem. So for this one it says the mass of a substance, so we call the mass M, varies directly. When it says varies directly, you put an equal sign, and we know it's going to be multiply because it says varies directly, as the volume of the substance. So there's my volume, there's my mass, and when it says varies directly, I'm going to multiply the two end pieces. When it says varies directly, where is it again? As the volume of the substance. Okay, so varies directly means that M varies directly as the volume. Okay, so that's how we write the equation. Now again, we're trying to find K first. So then they give you the next part of the problem in order for you to find K. If the mass is 2 liters, so my mass is 2 liters, I'm looking for K. I know that. I know I don't know K. If the mass of 2 liters of the substance is 10 kilograms, oops, sorry, made a mistake here. Let's read this again. If the mass of 2 liters of the substance is 10 kilograms, mass is weight. So that's going to be 10 kilograms. The way they've written this makes it confusing. Volume is liters. So if the mass of 2 liters, the mass of the volume of the substance is 10, okay, that's all we care about. Now we're going to find K. So we're going to divide both sides by 2, and 5 equals K. So now we've got that. So let's write our mass equals 5V, now that we know the K. Now let's look at the rest of the problem. What will be the volume of 35 kilograms? That's the mass, 35 kilograms. 5, what will be the volume? Well, now we just divide by 5, and 7 equals the volume. That's what we're looking for in this, it's just 7. Okay? Alright, so this is easy for me to do, but might not be so easy for you. So let's do a couple more examples here. Let's jump to 113.2. And it says a distance traversed by a car traveling at a constant speed is directly proportional to the time. Okay, so distance, it says, is directly proportional to time. It says constant speed. Speed really doesn't have anything to do with this at all. Alright, so there's my formula, and I keep reading to fill in the blanks for my formula. If the car goes 75 kilometers distance in 5 hours, okay, so that helps me find my K. Okay, so that cancels, and 5 goes into 75. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So there's my K. Or I'm sorry, 15. What am I thinking? 75 goes into 5 15 times. Alright, so now that I found my K, I can rewrite my formula. Now let's continue on with the problem. If the car goes 75 kilometers in 5 hours, which we already used there, so we're done with that, how far will it go in 7 hours? How far will it go in 7 hours? Okay, so 15 times 7 is going to give me 105. Okay, so are you seeing the way this process works? Directly proportional, we write that formula. Then we find K with the information that they give us first. Once they give us 2 pieces of material, like in this one they gave us 75 and 5 hours. Once we get to 2 numbers, we stop and we find K. Once we find K, we put it back in the original equation. Then we continue on with the problem, and the problem will give us 1 number. And that 1 number will be, well, it depends on if they wanted distance or time, but in this one they wanted time, and they wanted us to find distance, so we went from there. Okay? So if you can just remember those pieces, you won't have any problem. Alright, let's do one more. 113.3. Under certain conditions, the pressure of a gas, so pressure of a gas, varies directly as the temperature. So let's multiply. Let's find K. So we're going to look for the first 2 numbers. When the pressure is 800, I don't care what the ending is, the temperature is 400. There's my 2 numbers. Stop. Find out what your K is, and you find out that K is 2. Okay? Now we write our formula, P equals 2T. Then we look and find out what the last number is. What is the temperature when the pressure is 400? So 200 equals T. That ends up being the temperature. Okay? So you kind of got a feel for how that works. Alright, so let's go and talk about inverse variation. Inverse variation is done the exact same way, only our formula again looks like that. Okay? So it shouldn't really give you much trouble because we do it the exact same way. We're just using the division instead of multiplying. So let's look at 113.4. Under certain conditions, the pressure of a perfect gas varies inversely as the volume. Okay, we're going to again look for the first 2 numbers. When the pressure of a quantity of gas is 7, the volume is 75. Okay, so when you're at this point, in order to find K, you multiply those 2. So 7 times 75 is 525, and that equals your K. So now we're going to rewrite this as P equals 525 over V. And then we're going to look at the last number it gives us. What would be the volume if the pressure is increased to 15? So the pressure is 15. Okay? So there's our formula in order to find the answer. So the way we do this is when you are looking at this, make that a fraction, so we have two fractions, and then we can cross multiply. So 15v equals 525 times 1, which doesn't change anything. Divide by 15, and your v equals 35. Okay, one more, and we will be done with this lesson. Let's go ahead and leave that formula up there. To travel a fixed distance, the rate is inversely proportional to the time. There's my formula. When the rate is 60, I'm looking for two numbers, the time is 4. Okay, so now I can find, 60 times 4 is 240. So now I can rewrite that as r equals 240 divided by t. Alright, let's see what else they say. I'm looking for one number. What would be the time required for the same distance if the rate were increased to 80? So the rate is 80, 240 over t. Okay. Now there is a way you can do this without having to cross multiply and do all of that. And one of the ways of doing it is if you're looking for the number down here, if this is your variable, switch places with these two. Okay? And you have t equals 240 over 80, which is going to be 3. So it's just a lot easier. If you're looking for this, just switch places with those two, and you'll be able to find the answer. Okay, so just for an example, let me show you how it works. That's 80 over 1. Cross multiply. Cross multiply. Divide by 80. Divide by 80. Those cross out. 240 divided by 80. Okay, now what did I say? This and this switch places. So this becomes t and this becomes 80. 240 over 80. 240 over 80. Okay, will always work, and it just makes life easier for you. So if you can remember that, if you're looking for the denominator, switch places with that, and then it's just real simple division. Okay, so that is lesson 113. So let me go over it just real quick again. It will tell you it's either inverse variation or direct, and that will tell you only whether it's multiplied or divide. Inverse is divide, direct is multiply. So that's the first thing you're going to find out. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to get the first two numbers and put them in the right place, here and here. First number will occur all by itself on one side of the equal sign. The other number will occur on the other side of the equal sign with a k. Find k. Then put k back into the problem here. So 240, see the k there, we put 240 in its place. Then read on the story problem. When you read on, they will give you one more number, and that one more number will either go here or here, and you will be looking for the other number that they didn't give you. And that's it. That's it for lesson 113.